last three games?
Well, the biggest thing I gauge it by is if you play well, and I thought for the most part we played well. We played hard the entire game, not mistake-free, but we played hard and had good energy on all sides of the ball, and I thought it was complete with 11 people with good energy. I think there's some things we need to polish up, but we did play well, and we finished the first half, and I think our defense finished the second half.
Was this the first time you've seen all three levels of the defense really piece things together since maybe early on in the season?
All three levels of the defense. Well, I think we're emerging defensively. I think we're still emerging defensively. I think we simplified some things. I think we're still, kind of coming together there a little bit. Honestly, I think defensively, some of our best football's ahead of us. All right.
Coach, can you talk about the changes in your secondary? Armani Marsh got the start. How did he play out there, did you think?
I thought he played pretty good. When we played a couple extra guys, but the biggest thing is we made it real competitive in practice, and we're just trying to get the most cohesive group that we can out there. And I think that, as we made it simple, it was easier to kind of identify how to go about that.
And then Marcus Strong, can you talk about his leadership in the secondary and how he played today?
I thought he played good today. I thought he played good today. Played with good energy. Played with confidence.
Mike, what did you like about your offense in that first half?
Well, we were more consistent than we had been because we are explosive, and we've been explosive most of the year. But there's the consistency. I don't know what we end up on third downs, but not as well as but some of them were there at the end. But we were better on third down, when it counted, which I think that's important. I think that, like I say, we're explosive, but then consistent. It's a difference between hitting home runs. You can knock somebody out of the park, but then, if all of a sudden you hit a slump, then it's tough to do much. And so we got to be a team that's got that kind of consistency.
Coach, given that we're finishing up the HBO show tonight, you'll forgive the very broad question, but as a college football coach, how hard is it throughout the season to keep your team focused and prepare for your opponents week to week?
It's hard all the time. First of all, people in general, it's hard to keep them focused. I mean, all anybody's got to do is watch the news. It's impossible to keep people focused. Or social media, it's impossible to keep anybody focused. And that's everybody. Coaches, players, everyone. So I think that's the biggest task. That's the single biggest task of all this. It's hard in the NFL. It's hard in the NBA. It's hard in Major League Baseball. It's hard everywhere. It's hard at IBM or wherever the widget factory is. But the thing is I think that, that's always the battle. But everybody being committed to do it, that's one of the key things. And we've got to be committed to do that this week, and we got to get better this week.
And just to add to that very quickly, your methods of preparing a team for your opponents, maybe not always the most conventional. Has it always been this way, or your process of preparing a team week over week, is that something that's changed over the years?
I don't know what the other guys do. I've kind of lost track. So I'd have to be educated on what portions are unconventional and which are conventional, I've sort of lost track, but I've been doing it this way for a long time, yeah.
Mike, has there been a kind of a concerted effort to get more touches for Max this game than the last couple of games?
Well, there's always a consideration to get touches to Max, and then, there was a point in the game where, that was kind of where the best value was. And then, a couple of the explosive plays, Max did a good job of manufacturing some things too. And several of our receivers did too, but Max is kind of a steady guy.
A little bit of the Colorado game 2 years ago?
I can't remember the Colorado game 2 years ago. Oh, with the weather? Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, it was almost identical weather to this that year. That one was more of a sluggish game, a little more of a sluggish game that I don't know. It was kind of like swimming in mud, but this one was a little more explosive.
Did the wind have any of that swirling effect?
Shoot, you kind of reminded me. I'm thinking as I go. It was swirling wind that, yeah. So it was rain. So one piece of rain would hit you on this side of the head while the other's simultaneously hitting you here because it's swirling around. It was harder to throw the ball that day. I do remember Tay Martin breaking that thing open with a long post. The wind was a slight factor, but not a big one. But it was rain, but it was generally coming down not much more than a 45-degree angle. So.
Coach, you talked last week about wanting to see more toughness out of your team and having that kind of mentality because you don't just win based on talent and overpowering people. This game where you kind of have to fight through the wind, fight through the rain to get the win, and it's kind of a dominant win. What does that kind of say about your team and the progress they've made?
The biggest thing, I think it was a byproduct of consistency, among other things, and that the mental toughness to stay focused from one play to the next. And everybody wants to get ahead of themselves, but all you have is that one play in the present moment. You better focus on that one. And I thought we did a better job of keeping track of that.
And forcing turnovers was also something we talked about. It hadn't happened since the UCLA game. How big was that?
Well, people that run to the ball have a funny way of getting turnovers. You want a turnover, you better run to the ball. Because you never know, you don't know if you're going to get a turnover. But the more hands there are running to the ball, the better your chances are. And so we did a good job running to the ball and squeeze some of them out,
And just Anthony Gordon's performance overall tonight, how did you feel about it?
I thought pretty good. I thought he had definitely one series, maybe two. I know he'd like back. If he doesn't get ahead of himself, he really plays well. But the other thing, he resets really quickly too. Had the one bad series, it was a 3 and out, and then what's good about him, you can get him. You're one sentence away of talking to him from getting him right back on track. So that part's good, and I also think it impacts the players around him too.
Was there anything different said this week leading up to this game to the defense, especially to motivate them?
Well, probably from the standpoint that as we reshuffled that side of the ball, as people are kind of further into their, to the extent any roles change, to the extent that they're further into it, I think probably they sort of, kind of got their timing as far as working with one another and emphasizing things. And then I think that, the same message reinforced, for a longer period of time probably added to some things.
Coach, you get Brandon Arcanato back in the lineup. He comes up with a big touchdown grab. What do you think of his performance today?
Very consistent. He's a real consistent guy. Real consistent, really good ball skills. Kind of understands the whole scheme, how things are being set up and that type of thing.
That's good with Coach?
All right.
Thank you.